Halo, halo, oglądamy FSExpo 2021. Głównie XPLANE, więc zobaczymy co będzie. No zapowiada się dobrze. Że się tutaj robią jakieś kurde... No na razie gadają o pogodzie. Tytułem. O.
And if you can survive a flight in icing in XPLANE, then you'll have some sort of an idea of what nature has in store for you in the real airplane. So when you put it all together, it's a pretty nice little weather model. And now we're going to go to Ben, and he's going to show you how he renders it.
O matko, chmury, patrzcie, oglądajcie, kurde.
We used to use these billboards. Our artists would draw a beautiful cloud, and we would draw it up in the sky on a rectangle. From far away, it looked okay, but when you flew close to them, you could tell they were flat. To make the clouds look 3D, we had to draw a lot of billboards, and that killed frame rate. So for XPLANE 12, we completely rewrote the cloud renderer. XPLANE 12's clouds are volumetric. Here's how it works. The weather engine sends 3D cloud information to your graphics card. Shaders then trace a path through the cloud, calculating the interaction of the water droplets in the cloud with light rays from the sun. This is what makes a cloud look like a cloud. This process of tracing a path through the cloud is called ray marching. Ray marching has several advantages. We don't have to draw any of those square billboards, so ray marching uses your graphics card more efficiently. With ray marching, the clouds look good from any camera position, outside the clouds, inside the clouds, or right on the edge. We don't have to fill the screen with white or gray when you fly into the suit. So the transition into and out of IFR is seamless and looks good under all conditions.
Zobaczcie na to. Weather ground effects. O, to też jest mega.
One more thing. In XPLANE 12, we've upgraded the scenery engine to show the effects of weather as well. XPLANE 12 scenery engine can show puddles on the ground and snow dynamically. The puddles are reflective, and when it's raining, they show water droplets.
O kurde. Nie no, to nie jest XPLANE.
Scenery authors can specify where they want these effects with a simple weather mask that shows where snow and ice might occur in their scenery. Then XPLANE dynamically adds these effects based on the current weather.
Windscreen rainbow, Jezus, deszcz. Efekty deszczu na szybach.
It's a third-party plugin that adds dynamic rain effects to the glass of third-party aircraft. But LibRain's impact is bigger, because LibRain is open source, and Sazo has helped us integrate LibRain directly into XPLANE 12. XPLANE 12 simulates millions of raindrops on your graphics card. Now here's the cool thing. XPLANE already knows a ton about what's happening with your aircraft because of our flight model. The flight model knows about prop wash and jet wash and downwash, and it knows about wind shadow, where wind hits one side of the aircraft but can't hit the other. It has all this physics information, and it feeds it to the graphics card to make the rain simulation on your glass more realistic. Once the graphics card has simulated what the raindrops do, we can draw a view out the window where the raindrops refract the light, giving you a realistic view out the window on a rainy day.
Oh, ten nowy Airbus.
The XPLANE heavy metal hangar
Alex
has had
on
one
board,
constant
art
for as
director.
long as I can remember. Every single airliner that we have built has been centered around traditional crank and pulley flight controls. As such, you can throw these things around the sky with about as much reckless abandon as you wish. Maintenance complained, so we had to put a stop to that. And now, introducing a first for us, a fully fly-by-wire Airbus. The A330 leverages the amazing Airbus flight control system that Austin has developed natively for XPLANE. The system respects all of the normal law limitations. The computers won't let you pull excessive G, overbank, pitch up or down too much, and will save you when you get going too slow or too fast. I will say, Alpha protection surprised me the first time I experienced as well. It is an entirely different flight experience to put your airplane to a specific attitude and just let go. It stays there. Coupled with the brand new auto throttle system, which allows for all of the thrust modes that we're used to, toga, flex, maximum continuous thrust, and climb thrust, the A330 behaves just like an Airbus should. And of course, the 330 works out of the box with Thrustmaster's new Airbus hardware to enhance the experience. It's like butter. Beyond the physical model of the aircraft, the generously appointed cabin, the meticulously modeled cockpit, and the lovingly crafted exterior, we have taken strides in the simulation of aircraft systems. Examples? Yes, examples. The hydraulics system now simulates every single pump, all 7 of them on 3 different system loops, your green, your blue, your yellow. This is all easily set up in PlaneMaker. PlaneMaker also allows for each control surface to be set up to operate from a specific hydraulic source. Elevators, for example, both utilize the green system. The left elevator also uses the blue, and the right elevator uses the yellow system as its secondary. Failure in these systems manifest as control surface losses, exactly as you'd expect. The ECAM warning guidance system has also been realized. If you get an engine fire or any sort of failure, the ECAM system recognizes the failure and provides a checklist for you to remedy those situations. The ECAM also manages the secondary display page, that's the bottom DU, underneath the primary. When you start the APU page turns on. When you start the engine page displays. And after takeoff and throughout the bulk of the remainder of your flight, you're left with the cruise page. When you're on approach, however, the wheel page shows up at 800 feet to give you landing gear stats. It is all automatic with manual override controls. We've even gone to lengths to simulate the main gear of the A330 accurately. The gear has a special feature in that the eagle claw angle is directly tied to the strut connection. When you rotate and start taking weight off of the struts, the trailing wheel of the bogies pushes down on the tarmac as they rotate to an angled back position, giving the tail a couple extra feet of vertical clearance and resulting in better takeoff performance. We've really done all we can to pull the stops out on this airplane. We're doing things that we've never done before, and we hope that it shows.
To podgłośnik streama.
I'm Daniela Rodriguez Careri. I've been in charge of the sound design on XPLANE since 2019. We have been working on some other fun new sound developments. In addition to the new aircraft with full suites of F-mod sounds, we also have some other things to share. XPLANE 12 includes ambient sounds, that is, all the sounds that you will expect of the living world around you. You can now hear the sounds of the sea, the cars rumbling through the city, the tree leaves rustling in the wind, and even birds and crickets in the wild.
Drzewa się ruszają. Jaka woda ładna.
All these sounds react to the real-world variables, changing with the time of the day, temperature, and speed and direction of the wind.
Niski wiatr. Wysoki wiatr. Ale piękne dźwięki.
The soundscape of weather in XPLANE has been redone to. That means that now you have realistic sounds of rain, hail, and wind. These sounds interact with the ambience too. So
Mogę
when it's
teraz
snowing,
odpisać na własnym
everything
czasie.
will sound muffled, or when it's raining, the cars on the road will sound different, more wet. The thunder effects have been upgraded, and we are using many different
Ciekawe, ile to
recordings
będzie
for
kosztować.
variety, distance, and intensity.
No
These
to
ambient
później już.
sounds interact automatically with all F-mod enabled aircraft,
O,
both
oglądam
from
twoją.
laminar and third parties. If you're an aircraft author, there is nothing you need to do to enable them. They will just work on
Tak,
the
no
exterior
zresztą.
process
Od
environment
razu
channel,
już.
and they will respond to your aircraft insulation characteristics as you model them.
Dźwięki lotniska.
We can't forget about the sounds of airport operations.
Kurczę, ale lotniska dalej są
All
brzydkie.
ground service vehicles have been upgraded with appropriate sounds recorded from real equipment. It's not just a static engine noise. They react to the amount of work they're doing and include distinct sounds for fuel pumps or elevator scissors and other moving parts.
Nie no, dźwięki to ładnie zrobili. Tak, za 20 minut, tak. Wow.
Now that jetways are animated, they make sound when moving too.
I rękawy będą wszystkie animowane? Aha, bo będzie dołączony ground handling. Fajnie.
As you noticed, we also have real people to drive the vehicles now. No, not you, sir.
Mod, co był? Nie pamiętam, co to za mod.
XPLANE now supports FMod 2.0. We upgraded the sound engine, and now all goodies from this new version of FMod are available to our community of developers. End users might not notice an immediate difference, but it will make life easier for all your favorite sound designers.
No ale to nie jest
That's all
zbytnio
for now.
interesujące.
I hope you enjoy the new sound environment on XPLANE 12.
Aha.
XPLANE has an absolute advantage when it comes
Już
to
go
figuring
przyciszymy.
out how an aircraft will fly. But that's only part of flight simulation. Visuals matter, whether you're flying a real aircraft or a simulated aircraft.
No
So
ciekawe,
today, we'd like to share
czy
5
będzie
things
lepsze
we've
niż
done to
NFS?
improve what you
No
see
na
out the
pewno.
window in XPLANE 12.
Drzewa.
Trees are everywhere, and they make a huge visual impact, whether you're flying over urban areas or out in the wilderness. XPLANE 12 features a brand new 3D forest engine. Up close, trees are drawn in complete 3D. The far view consists of billboards, and the graphics card dissolves between them. Thanks to Metal and Vulkan, the entire forest engine runs on the graphics card for blazing fast frame rates. XPLANE 12's trees are animated and they sway and move in the wind. The amount of movement varies by tree species.
The airport environment is the part of the world you see up close. So
Ale
we've
fajnie by
added
było, gdybym
several
wiedział wszystko, co
improvements to
gadają.
airports. Runway surfaces are built using a new runway engine. Markings are placed precisely based on FAA and ICAO guidelines for a completely accurate airport setup. We have all new pavement textures that allow for more true-to-life scenes, adjusted for factors like airfield age, wear, etc.
Tak
XPLANE 12
średnio,
supports
to prawda.
dynamic jetways to add
Średnio.
an extra layer of realism. You can call for a jetway via the ground services menu. XPLANE 12 also features a control tower kit, a library of control tower objects that authors can use to add detail to airports on the XPLANE scenery gateway. Authors can control the style, the height of the control tower that allows artists to really capture the look and feel of nearly any tower.
No to od środka. O, pory roku.
I used to
Będzie
live in
śnieg?
San Diego, and it was summer pretty much all the time. Every single day was warm, sunny, and clear skies. That's kind of like XPLANE from version 1 up until now. Because in XPLANE 12, seasons are a first-class part of the XPLANE 12 scenery system.
Winter to była ziemia, zima, ale nie było śniegu.
First, we start with data. We collect climate
Zima
and
nie ma
climate data
śniegu.
so we can figure out where the seasons change for each part of the world. It doesn't become fall at the same time everywhere. It depends on climate, depends on latitude, and it can depend on elevation. We encode when the seasons change into our scenery files. The new season engine fits hand in glove with the 3D forest engine, especially in the winter, where having the leaves taken off of the trees in the winter makes a huge
No
visual
super, że nie ma
difference.
liści, ale gdzie jest śnieg? AUTOGEN.
XPLANE 12's AUTOGEN has been rebuilt from newer data with better sources to add more local detail. We import data from OpenStreetMaps, NASA, ESA, and other data sources to build
Co on powiedział NASA? Tak, powiedział NASA. Będą mieć mapę od NASA?
The placement of visually important features in your
Wow.
cities like large buildings, industrial areas, civic and commercial spaces has also been greatly improved. All of this adds to the plausibility of the XPLANE world. We've also, as is tradition, have made leaps in the size and quality of the AUTOGEN library. Now we also have sports features.
O
Those are
kurczę.
things like stadiums, those golf courses that we fly over on approach, and even tennis courts. We also now have a large library of lighthouses. We also have city parks, even cemeteries. One of the most
Cmentarze?
consequential visual additions is the inclusion of seaports and ships. Large coastal cities just aren't the same without all of this massive infrastructure.
Woda, 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 woda.
Water is a major part of the natural environment, and the water engine has gotten a huge upgrade in XPLANE 12.
Ta
In
woda,
XPLANE 12, the water waves are 3D.
no taka
Not
se
only do you
trochę.
interact with the waves with the physics engine when you land on the water, but you can
O,
see the
tutaj jest
waves
ładna bardzo.
before you land on them. XPLANE's water waves are affected by the wind speed and weather conditions, but also by the type of water. We have large waves in the open ocean and smaller waves in rivers and lakes. In XPLANE 12, the entire water simulation has moved to the graphics card. The graphics card simulates
Co
the
to
water
jest?
conditions ahead of time and sends them to the CPU so the flight model can interact with that water data accurately. This is the first time we've ever done something that runs on the graphics card first and then the CPU, and it's made possible by
Ile to jeszcze będzie trwało?
Besides 3D waves, XPLANE knows the
Jak tu mam
depth
2
of the
godziny
water.
siedzieć, to
And starting with XPLANE
dziękuję.
12, we now know the color of the water you're flying over. This is a huge improvement for flying in the tropics.
Fajnie, że tam u nich jest gdzieś 16, ale... O, Aircraft Systems.
Hello, this is
Co
Philip
jest?
Ringer, flight instructor from North Carolina, here with my youngest student and probably also somewhere in the audience today.
Podwójna kontrola?
It is now possible in XPLANE to have a proper pilot-co-pilot dual control setup. So you can build yourself a cockpit with 2 sets of yokes, 2 sets of pedals, connect them all to the same computer and tell XPLANE, these are the controls for the pilot, these are the controls for the co-pilot, and XPLANE will figure out
Dobra,
how
o
to work with the dual
23:40
inputs.
kończymy.
And now that you have independent control inputs for the pilot side and the co-pilot side, you can
No
deal
tak,
with
ale
all
to już było w
kinds of
XPLANE
control
11.
failures and jams. For example, you
O,
can
a
jam
można
the
to
right
zmienić.
aileron. Then the yoke is locked in place and you can no longer have any roll control. What you can do now is you can split the torque link between the pilot and the co-pilot, and then the pilot will still be able to control the left aileron on
Będziecie
the left
mogli
wing,
zrobić, że
while the
albo
right
będą
side
się
is
2
jammed.
polenty
This
ruszać,
way,
albo
the
tylko
pilot
jeden.
can essentially fly
Komar.
the left half of the aircraft if there's some kind of failure in
No
the
nie
right
zabiłem.
half of the controls.
Hydraulika.
Another system we have improved for the next generation of XPLANE are the hydraulic flight controls and the hydraulic systems that power them. Now, what do we do with this hydraulic power? Well, we can power every single control surface and every wing, which can be individually assigned any combination of hydraulic sources. So you can say on the left wing, the inboard aileron is powered by systems 2 and 3. And on the right wing, the outboard roll spoiler is powered by system 1. So any combination is possible. And whenever a hydraulic system fails, you're going to lose selective control surfaces on the wings. The fleet
Coś tam
of the next generation of XPLANE comes with a few new
Avionika.
cockpit instruments. The updated 737 now has scalable symbology and text for the navigational display, and of course this can be used on other aircraft as well. It's not limited to our 737. As you've seen earlier, we have a Cirrus SR22 in XPLANE right now, and of
która mi
course
się nie
it
podoba.
has a GCU keyboard controller that
Jest okay.
makes the interaction with the G1000 a lot easier. And finally, the last addition to the default fleet that I'm going to show you, we have
Widać, że
new
w Stanach mieszkają po
Citation
przełącznikach.
X, which comes with its own digital flight deck based on the Honeywell Primus
Bo tutaj te
avionics.
tekstury to
The
wyglądają
Primus
jak z jakiegoś
FMC
Windowsa
clones
XP.
the Collins FMS that we had as a new default FMS in XPLANE, and the Primus 2000 PFD.
DC systems.
Hello, my name is Jim Keir. I'm new to the
Matko.
XPLANE team this year, and for those sins, I've been condemned to work on the air traffic control systems. If we're serious about providing a full, realistic simulation environment, then air traffic control really must be a part of that. To those ends, we have been spending a lot of time over the last few months refining, enhancing, and generally polishing the air traffic control system. The first of the obvious changes is that there is now a single air traffic control dialog containing all of the air traffic control functions. The first
Updated
tab, as you
ATC.
can see, contains the message log, which was previously pinned to
ładne,
the top of the
ładne.
screen, and you can scroll that, you can pause it, and you can filter it.
No nie zabiję
Beneath
tego
that
komara.
is the command window. The next tab we have is the frequency list, as in XPLANE 11, but now you can also tune ATIS frequencies from this dialog as well. Finally, we have the flight information and flight plan dialog. This dialog can be set to work in several different ways. It tries to remain visible when you need it, but to hide itself when you don't need it. It's a new style window, which means you can pop it out and have it on a second monitor if that's what you wish. And of course it is now VR compatible. The biggest of the functional changes that we have is that the ATC commands can now have sub-options. So instead of having a single button which issues a single command, you can refine what you're asking the air traffic control system to do with context-sensitive sub-menus which come out of the command menu.
Push to talk.
The next biggest change is an entirely new way of dealing with ATC commands, which is push-to-talk mode. The way that this works is that you assign a transmit button on one of your controllers, typically a trigger button. And this works in the same way as the transmit button on a real
A czy przyklikacie i się od razu wysyła wiadomość.
You hold down transmit, you use the hat switch on that controller to navigate the menu system, and then when you release transmit, you transmit message. Now, this has huge benefits for HOTAS users and bigger benefits for VR HOTAS users, because it means that you're no longer breaking the immersion in the simulator when you want to deal with air traffic control.
Lokalizacja.
The next key feature for XPLANE 12 is that the ATC system is now region aware. Voices are also different per world region, and we now support multiple voices per region, which means that you will get a roughly appropriate voice no matter where you are in the world, and it won't always be the same.
Dobra, ten gość trochę przynuca.
India Center, November 750, X-ray pop, radio check.
November 750, X-ray Papa, reading you string 5.
VFR ATC.
We now have more than 30 different ATC commands or requests that you can issue as a pilot, and a number of those new actions are dedicated to VFR pilots. We now have improved support for VFR flight following, we have aircraft proximity alerts, we have terrain proximity alerts, and yes, that does mean that you'll no longer be vectored through the basement of the ski lodge on finals. Beyond these, there are many hundreds of small quality of life changes. When you take
Widzę, że
them
to
all
już
as a
raczej
whole,
nic ciekawego
they
nie
do
będzie.
make the flying
Bo w
environment
sumie
feel
pokazali
much
najciekawsze.
richer. We've addressed the problems of
Teraz to
the
tam można sobie
ATC
poglądać jeszcze
controllers
takie,
losing track flying near an airport.
no takie bardziej ciekawostki, no bo kto będzie używał tego ATC? No nikt. Pokazali nam chmury, pogodę, drzewa, zony. No tak naprawdę pokazali wszystko, więc nie widzę już sensu kontynuować tutaj tego.